I'm doing okay. All right. How's everybody in TV land? Can you guys hear me okay? Everybody that's logged in?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And I'm sorry, what's your name again?
My name is Craig Moore, but they call me Doxy.
Oh, hi, Doxy. Hey, if
Come
you
on.
don't mind, could you put your name and your email in the chat?
Okay.
That's great. So the Community Navigator project is what we're here for. I'm gonna sit right by here. Arctic Slope Community.
All right.
So I'm the director of grant programs. So I write federal grants, and they help me to manage the grant program. So one of the grants that we were awarded, it was through the U.S. Small Business Administration, the U.S. SBA. It was for roughly about $1 million, and the project was to go out and provide support to businesses located in the communities that we serve. So the communities of the North Slope. And when we decided to do this,
Well, business if you want to join.
wasn't
Arctic
something
Slope
that was
Community Foundation.
together in its entirety. We kind of had to sort out some of what we were doing, after the project had begun. And it ended up being, something where it's kind of taken on a life of its own. But what we do is we try to provide any support that we can. And it doesn't go just to businesses. We found out, there are people that work for these businesses. So really we're supporting people. We're supporting people that either work for someplace and, the skills that they're learning will really apply to their workplace and probably help their employers. We're also helping people that, are in business for themselves. We would really like to help and support those folks who are trying to find a way to carve out a living, so that they can live up in the communities on the North Slope. I will say this, out of all the awards that were made, I was told that there was probably over 700 applicants for this grant. Throughout the United States and its territories, there were 51 awards made, and we got one of those awards. It was the only award for the state of Alaska, and it is just for the North Slope. Now, we've kind of expanded our net, and of course, if there are folks that live in Anchorage, that maybe come from our communities or elsewhere, we try and make sure that they are included as well. So we just want to make sure that what we do is go out and we want to provide every bit of support we can to those individuals who are really supporting our businesses and organizations that make the economies run in our community. So what does that look like? We have 6 different partners in this program. They call them spokes, and I and my organization, we're like the hub. So we are the center of this wheel, and then all of our spokes come out. This fellow over here, Ross McCarty, works with the US SBA. He works out of the Anchorage office. You might consider him the tire. We're cruising down the road, and it's good to have him around. So when we have our different partners involved, we thought of what support might be best for folks who want to run a business or be good at their business in our community. So we got support from partners that perform accounting, accounting and QuickBooks training. We've got support from our local federally recognized tribe, the Utqiagvik Community Arctic Slope, ICAS, and their education department. We've worked with, oh boy, so we worked with the, let's see, Utqiagvik Technologies, or I'm going to butcher it, Utqiagvik Technologies, and this is a group of two guys that does IT technology. They've got a dual focus in linguistics and IT or computer programming. And so they've been working and they've got their linguistic focus, area of focus is in Alaska Native linguistics. And so like the website that you see is actually a separate project of ours, but this organization, these two guys were able to program this website. So they're another one of our consultants that is helping us with managing some of these businesses. Dr. Gail Cope, who is a federal grant writer, she's another one of our spokes, and she's got a lot of experience with contracting. And so really she's helpful in providing a lot of information that helps combine what we do with our for-profit organizations and grant projects or government contracts. How are our finding that and develop contracts and good relationships is something that we felt would be a good skill as well. Let's see here. What's the other one? Big Cody. Oh, I'm gonna forget the name. Julian, who are our spokes?
Utqiagvik, Utqiagvik Trail, Dr. Cope, ICAS.
Capital. Yeah, there we go. That's good capital. Those are the other three. And I'm sorry, Joe. So we've also got, as I mentioned, the accountants, Mukunda Cottrell Accounting and Consulting. We've got a lot of experience working with communities in rural Alaska, working with businesses in rural Alaska. And they are just excellent at training, and they've been very popular as part of this program. A lot of folks have training needs that revolve around accounting, so this has been a big help for us. Alaska Growth Capital is another one. They provide the North Slope Marketplace, which is a training program that develops business plans for small businesses within the region. 3 small businesses each year are selected out of their group of participants, and the winner gets a $10,000 grant to start their business. And they give out 3 of those. They also are a lender, so they provide lending services. They're one of probably the best lenders when it comes to working in rural Alaska. So while we don't have like a real prevalent need for loans at this time, we haven't seen a lot. Still, having that access to capital and knowing where to go, if you had someone that wanted to do a startup business or needed to take some kind of a loan for their business model, knowing where that is was something that we all or they have a business. We're always interested in making sure that this model works well. We have 2 years of funding for this project. So it started last December, which means that we've got funding through November of 2023 to make sure that we support you, your business, and your organization getting a good foothold. And then also after that, making sure that you guys have a solid tie with SBA so that maybe when we have gone on to other things, that access to these resources will still exist. And everybody will still have that ability to go and, reach all of the services and resources, that we're going to cover here in this project. So that's our long-term plan. All right, any questions about what kind of overview is? Nice. So,
I got one, This program, it's available to anybody here in Barrow, any citizen of Barrow, regardless of where you come from and so on and so forth.
that's correct. Yep, these are community-based or community-focused really. So we want to strengthen that economy in each community. So yeah, we would offer it to anyone who's interested, and hopefully we can get a lot of that interest.
The SBA is in place for anybody, anywhere. But this Community Navigator program was established to build a bridge to places where we just don't go or haven't been. I'm having a great time spending some time at the North Slope. I've never been here before. I was told that I work out of the Anchorage office. I was told that no one from the Anchorage office has been up. Well, so it's going to be a first for the Anchorage office. That the Community Navigator program is to build bridges so that you folks know what resources are available, and if and when this program stops, well, at least you'll know, hey, there's some guy down there and they do what? Let me give them a call, because you'll have my business card, or you'll know him. It's all about networking and getting in touch with people.
We're very lucky, in my opinion, because not only were we lucky to win this funding, the fact that we've even got this trip from SBA, we were able to work with them to get the funding and to have a representative from the Small Business Administration. It's a nice addition for us, and we do feel very lucky because it's not something that could happen very easily. And so, we feel very fortunate that it's happening for our region, and, we'll do what we can here to create the best support structure possible, and that's what we're gonna do. These are some good questions, and if you have any questions or anything while I'm rambling or while anybody's kind of talking, please feel free to raise your hand. But my goal here will be to give you an overview of each organization. Try and do so pretty quickly so that I don't keep you tied up all night, and hopefully inspire some of you, or at least inform all of you so that if you want any of these services, you can take advantage of it. So to start off, I will probably, let's talk about Arctic Slope Community Foundation. So we've been around for about 10 years, and we are a nonprofit organization, and we are a nonprofit grant-making organization. We were started with essentially what is an endowment from the Arctic Slope Region Corporation, but we are separate from them. We are not the same entity. We are our own nonprofit. We work under Patrick Lynn, and we work in Anchorage, and there's a group of 10 of us now. We've got a very good office. So what does ASCF do? Well, number one, we write federal grants. And Elena and I, and one other member of our team, we write the grants and we manage the projects. What does this mean for you guys? Well, without knowing everybody personally yet, I would say that for those of you who have jobs or opportunities where you might know that working with a federal grant or partnering with a nation, we have a lot of different programs where we're either looking to work with partners to implement those programs, or if you're a contractor and you love working with local contractors, we really want to use as much local talent for our, for the needs of when we're traveling too. So I'm also very interested in doing that. So if you're someone that's got, rental car business or something like that, I mean, it's always interesting to know of the different businesses that are out there. All right, so ASCF, we provide community grants. Elena, do you want to tell everybody what community grants are? Put you on the spot.
So community grants are through, they're through Marianne Rexford. Sorry, what is her title?
The Community Development Manager.
So we actually have a couple of different categories that we do offer for the local grants, which is like food security and
Health and wellness.
yeah, health and wellness.
Education, arts and culture.
Yeah, so if any of you have any like ideas, or if your company's looking to do some type of something under one of those categories, please feel free to reach out to us. I know we've been helping food banks, and we also, the Nulgaduck that they just had, we helped fund the tent thing that goes around it. I don't know what it's called.
Barrier.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So we helped pay for that as well. And it's just, I mean, if you aren't sure, if you're not sure, if you don't know what we fund, or if you just have an idea, go ahead and bring it to us, and we'll help you out and see what we can do to make that happen.
So like, for instance, I'm becoming an MSRA this fall for the middle school. That falls under education. There's projects that I would like to be able to incorporate, of which we don't have proper material for currently. And that's my purpose of being here, is to seek assistance in finding the funding to obtain the resource that's needed.
Okay. I think separately we can kind of meet separately. That way we can introduce you to Marianne, and also Darian. She oversees the entire program, but Marianne's the one that kind of the face of the local grants. And she's a lot more knowledgeable in local grants than we are.
And the easy answer probably would be yes, more or less. We have a couple of application requirements, but we've also worked with the school district before.
Right.
So this is something that we've been doing, and it would be delightful if we had the opportunity to help and support one of our teachers. So yeah, if you guys wanted to talk a little bit more, our local grants are usually between $1,000 and $100,000, but that's not to say that actually that much money is in the budget. They do budget separately for each community, but the best way to figure out, whether or not they can fund your grants, a lot of times they'll work things around for the right application. So the best thing that we encourage you to do is to and it's on our website, the application is, but even if you just like to talk to us before you want to go through the all the paperwork, Elena, call Marianne, or email us, and we will make sure we get you connected. That would be absolutely awesome. So that's our local grants. Good overview, and if you know, primarily it's like nonprofits, school districts, NGOs, churches. It would all qualify very easily. If you say, oh, okay, well, I'm a for-profit corporation, what does this have to do with me? Well, again, always think about, what types of partnerships are out there. Maybe you are close to a native village or school district or some other organization where you might be able to go through to apply for the grant that you want. Oh, wait. All right, so ASCF, we do local grants, and then, of course, our federal grants team, we work with those bigger projects. So I guess maybe the next one I'll roll on to would be, you, Mark, our partner ICAS, has a dual function in helping us get out and connect to our communities, and then also you have an education function, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit if you like.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, so ICAS's participation, of course, we're here to support workforce development and small businesses. And we're focused on, with the partnership here, mostly with youth, with the Boss Club, and it's a entrepreneurial club that we're gonna be setting up in each village to train youth to how to start a business. It's gonna be in all the aspects that the adults, like what CNPP is doing for the adults, we're gonna be doing for the youth, and they're actually gonna be starting a business, running a business, and doing all that within, it's roughly 2 terms that we'll have, so it's about 34 weeks long. And we take the youth through all of these, and there's also a middle school component that we'll see if we, over the next couple of years, maybe adding that in, but initially we're starting with the high school youth, and then we'll develop it from there. So we'll hire an advisor in every village and have them work with the local youth there. So that's what we're going to be doing there. And ICAS does have an education department and a tribal school that they've started this last year. And we're just, working with the communities to develop not only the youth, but also adults who are looking to, there's a number of adults out there that haven't graduated, and we're working with them right now to get them diplomas through the tribal school. That's some of the things that we're doing. It's just that ongoing development of the people on the North Slope, and ICAS, the council, has that
Thank you, Carol. My name is Tara Jo Anderson, and I work out of a CPA firm in Anchorage called Mukunda Cottrell Accounting and Consulting. We go by MCAC. We do a lot of work out in rural Alaska, especially me in the office. I've been out in the rural communities for over 20 years now. I've dealt with village corporations, I've dealt with tribes, cities, some small businesses out in these communities, and helping people get their finances in order and making sure that they can keep their books correctly. So when they have to present their financials to banks or to the SBA, things are in order and make sense to everybody. It can start from a conceptual idea and the business plan and how you want it to look, and budget planning and what it takes to start the business, all the way through, the peak of your business, and keeping it going the right way. Or, some businesses have a lot of turnover and everybody has their own way of doing something. I don't care what job it is. And so we come in and help the next person understand what's in there and help, cipher through it and get it cleaned up, or make changes that need to be made. Sometimes it's just a matter of somebody has done something one way for a long time, and we come in and say, okay, look at this number. Does this look good? And they're like, no. Well, it should have been over here and not over here. But doing something wrong consistently is the best way to do it if you're going to do it wrong, because then it's just one thing to fix it. But we do help and consult on, like I said, the budgeting part of it to get you started, to sit down with your concept to see what it looks like on paper, what you're gonna need to get it started, and what it's gonna take to make it a viable business. After, people work with you on the business plan and get everything, and then we'll come in and help you with the budgeting part, getting, usually we recommend QuickBooks to small businesses. It's cheap and it's user friendly. A lot of people say, oh, you need this or you need that. You can take QuickBooks, which, like I said, it's a cheap software, and it's very user friendly and very forgiving when you need to go in and make the adjustments that you need to do. Anybody got any questions for me?
Not at the moment.
I'll see you in the morning.
And it's inexpensive, it ain't cheap. I have a general question.
Absolutely.
I use my imagination. I'm an entrepreneur like maybe the rest of the people in this room. The number one thing on our minds is capital. And this is gonna kind of lean toward the small business administration. I've spent many, many evenings, nights over the years trying to find a grant, but always bumped into, I'm a nonprofit, I'm not a municipality, I'm not a city, we can't do that. So that's always been a brick wall, is finding capital money to be startup money, startup funds. Are there possibilities for some type of miniature grants to get going out of the federal government, the Small Business Administration? And basically, we remember that guy, Let's Go on television late night, all these grants and stuff. I don't know why he pops it in my mind, but that's one general question that I have. There's the restaurant idea, there's the services idea, but with with my own personal experience and observation of things for quite a while now, where small businesses fail is the paperwork. And I don't have time to do the paperwork. You know, I'm the world's greatest cook, I'm the world's greatest mechanic, I'm the world's greatest carpenter, artist, what have you. The concept, the idea that I have is what is gonna make the business work. But I ain't got time to do all the paperwork.
And there's a lot of that out there.
And that's where it fails, unfortunately, and for a small business person, anybody. An espresso place, this cup costs a certain amount of money. Unfortunately, to get it here to this table in Barrow, Alaska, is 4 times what it actually costs. People need to understand that. But anyways, so a general question to the Small Business Administration, because I've always wondered about that. There's got to be is there within the Small Business Administration?
I would have to get back to you on any
With
grant.
all the trillions and trillions of dollars that we're
Right.
pumping out.
Right. I know there are specific micro loan programs. Grants is something a little different. So that I would have to do a little digging.
You know, there's also, you know, the possibility, and as we're talking about this program and also our partner, the Alaska Growth Capital, they have that Northwest Marketplace. It starts in the fall. So this would be a perfect time to prepare if you want to start a business. My recommendation would be go through that program, and it's basically a competition to make the best business plan. So enter the program and then use the resources from this grant to make the best darn business plan that you can and get that thing all tuned up so that when the awards come out in the spring, you can hopefully win that $10,000 grant. I mean, it's just an idea, but I think that would be a good way to compete for it.
Yeah,
So do you guys have somebody that could also help, somebody just starting a business? Take the type of organization they should have, whether it's a sole proprietor, partnership, LLC, S corp?
Yes.
Okay, because that would be, I know that would have been helpful for me when we started our business.
Yeah.
I learned all these things as I was going on what the best is, so.
Yeah. And
Those
that's,
are looking at starting.
I think there's probably, you know, at least 1 or 2 of us that could probably, you know, get to that or, you know, get folks started on that path and sort out those answers. And again, the best way to do it is, you know, connecting with those of you who are interested in getting started, you know, then we can kind of follow up and make sure, you know, if those are, you know, the questions that you have, that we can kind of help you track them down. And that's usually the best way to do it. So there's going to be, you know, for every different person that comes in this room and thinks about this program, you know, there will be a different need that pops up or a different idea or a different concept. And really, we want to just try and find the best way that we can use these resources to try and support you in developing that idea that you have. I did want to defer one more time to maybe Ross, and I know, you know, we just asked and maybe you mentioned a little bit about, we know about the micro limit. What are there other things? What are other things that SBA has going on either now or from time to time that are good examples of some of the ways that we can look to your office for support or work with your office?
There's a lot of duplicity in what's being offered, what's available out there in the world. You just mentioned building a business plan. Well, there's a couple different avenues. There's a couple different ways that we have available. to bake the same kind of pie. So we have the Small Business Development Center. There's the 11, it's either 7 or 11 locations throughout the state of Alaska where you can go for free business consultation. So there's that avenue, or your organization does as well.
ASCF.
Right, the new micro lender,
Yeah, so the micro lender, I can't remember, it's like.
Business Impact. Business Impact, they offer similar services. So there's a couple different avenues you can go down to build a business plan. And again, what they would do is evaluate where are you on the spectrum in your cycle. Where are you? Are you totally clueless at point 0 and you just have an idea? Okay, well, they'll take a look at that and get you to the next step. And let's say you already have $20,000 or what have you, all the way up to $350,000. Well, that's another conversation that they could take a look at, just to see where you are to get you to the next level. So there's lots of different resources available to help you get to the next level, whichever level you're on. And again, any business that you can think of or that you can name was once a small business, was once an idea in somebody's garage. So but that's the sole reason why the SBA is in place, is because that's the foundation of the United States. Did I touch upon most of it? Did I leave anything dangling?
I think that's pretty good.
Another general question, and the term small business administration, there's got to be a ceiling limit on the term small business. 250,000, $1 million, $500,000, $10 million.
No. Now, especially where we are currently situated, this is a disadvantaged community just because you're up here. And for the simple fact that you have that geographic reality title label puts you in a certain beneficial category for services. And this current administration has made it quite clear that for the next 4 years at least, the focus is going to be on disadvantaged communities. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I got to come up here and meet you folks for the first time ever.
That's good. I sit here and yeah, I have a job, and I've had many a job, and but I'm also sitting here for my personal interest, because I am just full of
lot of different projects. Actually, I think they translated a book, if I'm not mistaken, a book out of the Bible. But needless to say, those are some examples of the types of projects that we would do in-house. And so this is one of those projects where we got the funding and, we're trying to complete it. And that's what the grant is. It's the application, it's the funding, and then once you've won the grant, you complete that project that you've applied for.
Grants you don't have to pay back.
Grants you don't have to pay back.
here's an imaginary thought. Could I not partner with a nonprofit where these people fit a certain criteria based on their income levels, and this nonprofit pay me to assist them? I've looked at the IRS grants. They exist, but those are issued out to nonprofits. I'm old school. I work for $1 so I can feed my family. If I want money, I have to work for it. And if I want more money, I have to work harder for it. That's just the way my brain works.
Well, now you're talking our game, okay?
Yes.
Our idea really, and what we've just talked about is this idea where, okay, well, somebody's got a business. Maybe you're not a nonprofit and you can't go after, a lot of the federal dollars that are for nonprofit, right? Well, partner with a nonprofit who will access that money or see if they can access that money to help them provide that service. And that's a fantastic idea. That's exactly what we would like to talk about.
That's one thing I would like, because it's been well over 25 years of helping people. But paper costs money, toner costs money, the internet costs money. My professionalism, my knowledge is worth something. It's getting to a point where it's getting ridiculous. And that's just my personal opinion, but it's also a reality.
Some of the areas you might check is native village barrow, or
Well,
sometimes the borough might provide some.
The grants division, Native Village and Barrow, ICAS.
We've also,
Well, I'm sure we're well aware of other organizations possibly out of Anchorage.
there's nothing to stop you from forming a nonprofit.
Yep, that's common too. A for-profit forms a nonprofit to do two different things. That covers, that's what Alaska Hill did.
My limited knowledge of grants is a heck of a lot of it goes to administrative costs. That's where a lot of it goes. And I can understand that simply because it costs money to administer the grant. But personally, I'm not, I just don't like that idea of it being a nonprofit and, a guy or a gal in the world sucks in $200,000 in administrative costs. There's something wrong there for me personally. But my personal, again, the problem I have with family tax service, it's a reality. There's got to be a way to partner up with a nonprofit, Native Village of Barrow, to be able to make this work for their clients who are in a particular situation. They get the professionalism done, it gets done, and theoretically everybody's happy. Theoretically.
In regards to that, there's your regional tribal government as well as your regional corporation that you could reach out to, that both contain nonprofit entities that may be interested in what you have.
Thank you.
Each community.
I'm well aware of ICAS and Native Village of Barrow. They've existed for 50 years, and things seem to change and revert back to what it is, and so on and so forth. But that's my problem right now, and it's been a problem for 25 years. And so just to know that, yeah, that is possible is good enough for me.
The majority of loans that we make out of our community grant loan, or community grants, the majority of grants that we make are like food security. So every year, a good deal of what we do is, working with food banks in our communities. However, there's still this other sum of money, and it's, in a lot of cases, difficult for us to spend it. Because there's not enough capacity, and especially in some of our communities, there's not that capacity there for us to direct those federal dollars or those local grant dollars. And so we have a huge interest in trying to prepare and to help and support organizations, you know, throughout the region, but make sure that there's good, healthy organizations out there.
So with the organizations in this room, you just mentioned, it is possible to start a nonprofit. I could become a nonprofit, a 501c3. Very easily. Perhaps I've been going down the wrong road.
You know, it takes, you know,
Trial and error.
Well, there's opportunity, but with the right intentions, it can be done. With the right intentions, you can actually help thousands of people.
I think that that's probably in the spirit of this program as well, to be able to try and support organizations that support the community or the function of the community.
I almost don't even want to mention the word foundation comes to my mind. Is it possible for an individual to start a foundation?
Absolutely.
And so, you know, there's steps included in it, and I mean,
Unfortunately, a lot of organizations, you create a nonprofit, you create a foundation, you have to have an organization, you have to have a board,
Yeah.
which means you have to have other people involved in the decision making.
well, and that would be one of those things that, you know, you ask yourself, you know, do I have a couple of friends that are interested in, you know, meeting with me every month, or, you know?
It is possible.
It's an undertaking.
It's been very, very difficult to find people.
But if people could put that, you know, if that could be put together, it could be put to very good use. There's, you know, the hard part really isn't accessing money so much as it is being prepared to get the money. Whether you're for profit or nonprofit, there is plenty of money to be made.
It's the capacity to maintain it while you have it.
Yeah, it's the capacity, is the people, the human capabilities of the people, and thus employees and so on and so forth. You could create a lot of work. You can create a lot of jobs through a nonprofit.
Oh, yeah.
Very easily. Yep.
And, you know, the more the better. It's not like, you know, we are worried about competing with other nonprofits. There is not enough grant writing talent in this world that would really satisfy the needs in this region.
I would totally agree.
This is a drop in the bucket. Yeah, we're fighting a forest fire with a squirt gun. So more, you know, grant receiving organizations, that we can refer, or for-profit organizations to kind of help them receive those funds, you know, the better.
And it's not just about receiving the funds, it's bringing the individuals that are most dedicated to capacity to maintain the funds and carry forward and remain successful. And that's something I feel like you guys should reiterate over and over and over, and not just talk about getting the money, because maintaining the capacity to maintain the funding is your next biggest task. It's your most dedicated commitment that you have to seek. Someone that's dedicated and responsible to do so.
That's a very good point.
And so the organization's program with, and you just mentioned it, the program with the younger generation, the youth.
Yeah, the Boss Club.
The Boss Club. Is that limited to a certain age group?
Yeah, it's really for high schoolers,
So-
and then we'll have it in middle school as well.
Because what I see in that is an education from the beginning, but a lot of adults could use that education.
Right, and if you think about it, sometimes it doesn't always make sense to work backwards because you're only giving them the limited amount of time to take in the information they need to build themselves up to capacity. Whereas if you start in middle school, you're instilling these values and this information into these individuals where they carry it with them and grow on it. And I don't know, that was just my personal opinion in that.
Do you have anything for,
Good points.
do you have anything for like me, like who already graduated high school and doesn't know what to do next?
Absolutely.
Yep, that's
So-
where we're-
Even
We'll
ICAS
have-
has
we'll have
good
Elena
resource for that.
talk to you this week, or probably end of the week or next week, but we'll work, and kind of explain to you what some of those ideas are, some of the options are. You know, because we fund, we have, Utqiagvik is one of our partners, and they're not utilized anywhere here, not, there's a lot of room if you wanted to, look at anything that Utqiagvik offers, we would help you to get through that.
Yeah, we got career development.
Yeah.
Can even get that.
Right now, we'd be able to pay,
Vocational
we'd be able to
training,
pay for those classes, just, you know, we would have to accept. So if you want to consider that, we help you, you know, get some stuff going in Utqiagvik. On the flip side, being an entrepreneur, you just want to get coached up to start a business idea. That's what this project is for. So we'll talk to you a little bit and sort out, you know, what's that idea, and then we can have you work with one of our coaches to kind of refine your idea and get your plan ready. It's a couple of steps, if I can kind of put it in a huge, like very simple, easy to understand version. It's just a couple of steps. It's not that complicated to start operating. I mean, it's a challenge, but it's really just completing the steps. Anybody can do it. Anybody can complete those steps. And then, you know, it's the ongoing task of managing the business. But we would really like to work with folks to get them prepared for both sides of that, you know. Getting themselves prepared for their business and also preparing them to kind of manage it as their life goes on, you know, and be successful and hopefully grow.
Graduate that business.
Can
into-
I ask a question?
Yeah.
I've got a friend who he told me that, is it true that if you open a church, that churches don't pay taxes, or they don't have to report to the IRS, or they don't have to get audited at all? Is that true?
Yes
Thank
and
you.
no. The church does not have to pay, churches are exempt from taxes. And that's probably the gist of it is, you know, as a nonprofit organization, religious organization, there's an exemption. And they don't have to pay taxes. But depending on what they do, and especially if they're getting grant funds, there's something else that it would trigger that requires them to get an audit. And so while we think of an audit usually as something that might come from the IRS, right? Like if you file your taxes and something happens and they want to have an audit. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is where like an accountant would come into your office and review your books and review your bookkeeping practices and your other policies to make sure that you've followed all of the policies and everything else to the letter. And this is kind of, you know, what she was speaking about in terms of reporting and managing the money. You know, there's always this flip side, and the auditors are the ones who go and check to make sure that you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? That's the check and balance. You get all this grant money and you say, or if you're a nonprofit, right? We win a grant, or we say we're gonna do something, and then we get an audit each year. And the audit will go through and check everything that we've done in the past year to make sure that we haven't done anything wrong, that we don't have any incorrect policies, that we're not intentionally doing things wrong or engaging in bad behavior. So they overlook all those things. A church would still have to go through that if they were getting grants. So church doesn't have to pay the taxes on money they get, but they do have to get their annual audit, as it's required, from, and I forget the code, but, there's something called a CFR 200, and it requires 200 something, it requires you to get an audit if you get over $750,000 of grant money, or if your grant requires it.
I'm proud of you.
You like that?
I like that.
Huh?
CFRs. Anyways, maybe to help the other individual online, the best place for that answer is irs.org. Look up religious organization, look up the word church. Things change when you become a 501c3. There's rules and regulations, I just know. And you're prohibited from speaking from the pulpit on different things when you are a church and a 501c3 at the same time. It began under Eisenhower. But anyways, irs.org. From my experience over years and years, anytime I had a tax question, the best place to find the answer was the IRS itself.
Sorry, I wasn't here for the first part of all the discussion, but I feel like it should be made clear that a grant is a request of funding that usually is under the constraints of regulations, lots of rules, reporting, and that it usually eventually requires a budget and a narrative. And it usually requires a timeline of 1 to 3 years to start with for the obtaining of the funds, for the process of the funds, how they are intended to be used. And then at the reporting period, if the funds are being used to these processes. And then there's the little things that happen, like, okay, we don't have enough funds in this area, we need to move things around. You know, there's the different processes that go along with that as well. And when you talk about grants, you should be able to note those things. So the common person that's not familiar with financial talk of such things can slowly become aware by context. I hear a bunch of information being rattled off, but I have past experience with for-profit, nonprofit funds. And I feel like that's something you guys should make known through your conversations, is that usually the funding is at a request to a grantor. The grantor has their regulations, plus the funding and IRS have their regulations, depending on what types of grants you have, reporting periods, funding periods, the intent. The purpose of a grant is to be able to provide a service or product to consumers under the stipulations of the funding request. And when you speak of these things to common people, it should be explained so that it's not just a bunch of, yeah, you're going to get this money and then this is what's going to happen and that's how it's going to happen. But really, there are a lot of steps in the process. There are a lot of hands in the pot. You have to understand that every resource is not just that one resource, or it's a plethora of individuals within that resource that you have to work with. It's a network of individuals that come together to build the stronger network of which it is you seek to fulfill the service or product that you wish to provide to consumers.
One of, actually our contractor, Dr. Cope, actually goes more in depth of all of that information. Pretty much what we do, why we're here, is we are just going through an overview, telling you what we can help you with, telling you how we can help your business. If you're not sure about your business, like, it's just an idea, come talk to one of us. Like,
Right.
That's why we're here. We're not expecting you to understand how to make a business, how to run a business, how to any of that. We're here to help you start it, move it from an idea in your head to actually starting to get your products or services out to the community, or however you're going to market to the consumers. And it's just I mean, you don't have to really know anything.
No, you don't.
No
but it-
questions.
It's good to put that information so that they become aware of what it is, so that, if they do have further curiosities, they can look into what types of regulations some money come with. And, he brought up a couple good points about nonprofits, for-profits, and for-profits creating nonprofits to fulfill the duties that the for-profit can't. That's not too common knowledge to the common people unless they have had past experience in working with that.
Can I ask, you said you've had educator, do you mind if I ask, you've had some previous grant experience?
I've worked under the North Slope Borough with grants for their rural villages as a liaison. I actually did grant writing for two separate tribes as administrator. And I've worked under voc rehab at ICAS in the past with a very good director who educated me about regulations and stipulations and things that go along with grant funds.
Yeah, they can get, grant funds are,
They can get hairy, it's
Very
not just
tricky.
easy money.
we did an overview. It was like an introduction to federal grants. And Dr. Cope made it, it's one of the videos on our YouTube, link to our website. Just the overview of federal grants is an hour-long class.
And it's overwhelming, it's a lot to take in.
But it's, like I said, there could not be enough federal grant dollars coming into these communities. There could not be enough.
Sorry, I'm right here.
Hey, do you guys want to get a,
Oh, yeah.
door prize before you go?
Matt. Well, that was unfast.
Oh, that's
Copy road thing, caregivers, we've got hand lotion, button pusher, that's a code teacher itself. We also, we did a newsletter, so like if you have your geo in there, you can see your size.
Oh, yeah.
But we sent out an email after we're done, if you just want to see us.
cool. Might be able to go see that guy who keeps the place.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, I was super excited.
Bring some ingredients. Bring some ingredients, maybe he'll make you one.
That's right.
Exactly.
Brian,
Yeah, great figures. That's my last guy.
Brian, did your restaurant
I
close
got
out there
this.
too?
Good jacket. You live here, Dora, or what was your question?
I'll ask to get the AKP restaurant that you closed.
Oh, yeah, he closed. Hey, guys from Utqiagvik Pass, is your restaurant open?
That's
Do
Brian.
you have it open? Or is that what we're talking about, getting the pizza place going?
Yeah, he's trying to get it going.
Oh, I thought that was in Point Road.
No, man, that was Brian and AKP.
Oh, enough to, oh. Man.
We got a pizza place and a nonprofit. AKP is gonna be exciting. We're supposed to come to Utqiagvik Pass in August.
Wow.
Make an appointment with that man.
Yeah.
I'm not currently open, but I'm trying to get funding to get open.
It would be good for us to see you when we go to Utqiagvik Pass. So when we reach out to you, let's make some plans to meet up in August. If you're around, we can talk to you a little bit about your plans, okay?
He put it in writing.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Yeah, well, all right, we'll wrap things up, I guess. If folks have other questions, or if you guys need anything, obviously we've reiterated it over and over and over. You've got our contact information. Feel free to contact us for anything, or our partners as well. Up through November of 2023, our partners, if you want to call or email, their information's on our website. You're welcome to contact them if you've got a question, right? Or if you'd like to get help. Really, you can contact anybody, any one of us that you've heard from tonight. We're happy to help you get started in the program, and we really hope that we'll be able to see each one of you and help you get started chasing your dreams.
Awesome. Thank you for presenting the resources to the community.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. I know it's a little bit long, but I appreciate y'all being here. And if anybody wants to share the news about this website, utqiagvik.online.com, it is our sentence builder app that translates sentences from
Oh, I know,
English
it's
to
really good.
Utqiagvik. It tells you how it's done.
See you later, Cheryl. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, fun.
Cool. Is this
Thanks for
one
making
sign?
sure.
It's a little warmer in Point Hope.
I saw that.